Welcome back to another edition of our Pokemon TCG Weekly News Roundup. Brace yourselves as we've seen the full set list for Japan's Wild Forces and Cyber Judge, which is going to make up our April release of Temporal Forces, kicking off the H-Block cards. We're going to explore some new gameplay merchandise coming out of Japan and dive into yet another collector scandal around a bit of a botched promo release. Oh, and did I mention there's a game-changing update to the expanded format? Now let's get into it. So to kick things off, we are getting the full set list for Wild Force and Cyber Judge. We did cover a number of these cards, as about 50 of them were revealed last week, but there's some additions in here that we haven't previously seen. They're going to make up our April set Temporal Forces, so it's pretty cool to get a sneak peek at these, since I don't think much else is going to be added in between then. It's seeming like this is the bulk of it. There is two starter decks as well, the Miraidon and Koraidon decks that'll have pieces of them included in here. But a lot of these will look familiar as we've seen previous reveals. If you haven't been keeping up with it though, there should be a link to the previous video popping up now, or if you want to take a look at the page for yourself, there'll be a link in the description of the video. But a number of these we have seen. There's some pretty interesting inclusions coming in here though. So the Roselia, Roserade we haven't seen before. They have an ability, if you hit them, you're poisoned. Their attacks are there. We're getting a new Turtwig. It has 80 HP, an ability that makes it take 20 less damage from attacks. I like this. Can easily replace the current Turtwig we have that just has 80 health and nothing else going for it. This effectively has 100 health. It's pretty cool. Or if it's getting half hit for some reason, like if it survives a hit, that ability applies into the next attack, so maybe you're surviving 2 hits. It's pretty cool. It's going to evolve into a new Grotto. Doesn't have Sun-Drenched Shell, so it's not going to be replacing anything, but we are getting a new Torterra, and it's an EX, which I've been asking for this to happen since I think it was like August. I was like, hey, we have a sick Grotto. We just need a really good evolution for it, which we already do have in the Torterra currently. It scales up damage based on evolution Pokemon in play, so if you have 6 evolution Pokemon in play, you can do 300 damage with it. This one is scaling based on grass Pokemon in play. Doesn't need to be evolution, just grass Pokemon in play, and it'll count itself being in the active. So it in the active, 5 grass on the bench, 180 damage for 1 grass energy is pretty clutch. You're hitting weakness into Charizard. Oops, sorry, I hit the mic there. You're hitting weakness into Charizard EX, so 180, double that, 360. You can be one-shotting it, which is pretty clutch, whereas they're going to be struggling to get up to these numbers until the very end of the game. And I think they even need a Vitality Band, right? Because if you've taken 5 prizes, they're doing 150 plus 180 is, come on, math skills, 330. So yeah, Vitality Band to get up to 340. So potentially they're never one-shotting you and you're easily dealing with them. It's really interesting. I'm keen for it and big fan of the turtle. We're getting some other really cool stuff. The Whimsicott we have previously covered might pair nicely with the Torterra being a grass Pokemon. When you evolve up into this, fully heal your active grass Pokemon. Ditch any energy on it, but you only need 1 energy to get going, so that Torterra can easily get charged up again. I like it. What else do we have here, though? Seems like just more filler cards, if I'm being honest. The Gouging Fire EX. We'll stop on these ones because I'm a bit biased towards the Johto beasts, as you may be able to tell. But Gouging Fire EX, basic ancient Pokemon, so you can use Professor Sada, get energy on it. You can use Magma Basing because it's a fire type, get energy on it, attach for turn, get going, do 260 damage. And it can't attack again until it leaves the active spot. But we've got a lot of switch outs, so that's fine. 260, you're not quite getting one-shots into things, but you can be using the Rapidash from Silver Tempest. Ditch a fire energy, do 30 more damage. You're doing 290, you're taking out V-Star Pokemon. Have a second one in play, scale that up to 320. You're getting a lot of stage 2 EXs. I think 10 damage shy of taking out Charizard, so like a Vitality Band will get you there. It's pretty cool, and definitely a deck concept we'll be playing around with on the channel. Getting a new Totodile line as well. The Feraligatr is pretty clutch. 2 water energy, 160 damage. The ability, if you choose, you can put 5 damage counters on it to do 120 more damage this turn to bring you up to 280 to deal with V-Star Pokemon. Getting up to stage 2 EXs will be a little tricky, but you're a single prize Pokemon. You just need a way to like get some damage set up. So maybe have some sort of splash Pokemon in the deck, do a bit of spread damage. There'll be ways to make it work, and definitely keen for it. I know a lot of people are big fans of Totodile, so having a solid Feraligatr to actually play a deck with it, yeah, I'm excited for it. What else are we getting here? More filler cards. Flip 3 coins for each head. Just ditch a random card from your opponent's hand. More control cards, but on a chance? Nah, not good enough. New Snom. Frostmoth doesn't accelerate energy, though. The Wiglet Wugtrio we have covered already. The Finizen also kind of just there. It's a card. The artwork's cool though. The Palafin, 1 water energy, 130 damage, does 10 damage to itself for each damage counter already on it. So like you could be doing some decent damage once. If something half hits you, like a Cramorant does 110 damage to you, if you try and attack again, you're knocking yourself out. So it exists. I don't think it'll see play outside of maybe pre-release, but it exists. The Walking Wake EX, another Johto beast. The ability, damage from this Pokemon's attacks is not affected by any effects on your opponent's active Pokemon. So things like Goodra, V-Star, for example, that try and take less damage after they've attacked, you just ignore that and shred through it. Vulpix V-Star that isn't affected by Pokemon that have abilities after it uses its attack, you're ignoring that and just shred through it. So it's pretty cool. The attack, 120 damage. If your opponent's active Pokemon's affected by a special condition, 120 more, brings you to 240. If it's poison, that's 250 between turns. Sneasler in play, that's 270 between turns. Vitality Band gets you up to 280. You're one-shotting V-Star Pokemon. If we get a way to scale up poison damage a little bit more, might be foreshadowing to something. This could be a really solid card. It being an ancient Pokemon, you can use Professor Sada to charge it up as well. So pretty keen for it. Wugtrio, I think it's just going to be binder fodder, but it is a Terra Pokemon. It can go into water decks as you use water energy to charge it up. Troika Pump, you get to discard up to 3 energy from your hand. Choose one of your opponent's Pokemon, so you can use it as a snipe attack and do 60 damage for each energy that you choose to discard. So 180, snipe something off the bench, like take out a Luminion without needing a boss's orders. It's kind of cool. Just 1 energy too. It's not too bad. Maybe even like a Goldango deck could sneak that in. Azumarill, flip a coin if heads do 30 more damage. That's never getting sleeved. Bronzor, I like because it evolves into the new Bronzong. Bronzong has Evolution Jammer. It does 30 damage, and your opponent can't play any Pokemon from their hand to evolve a Pokemon on their next turn. It's not while this is in the active, so if they use like Boss's Orders or Escape Rope, well, not Escape Rope because that'll be rotating, but if they gust this out of the active, they still can't evolve as that effect is applied directly to the trainer. So into evolution decks like Charizard EX, Gardevoirs, Excalibur engines, you can just lock them out of being able to play the game and force them to manually charge up things, which is kind of cool. It's not doing a lot of damage though, so I feel like eventually they just play around it, but definitely an interesting concept. And yeah, honestly, kind of keen for it. Like if we find enough ways to get extra damage counters out and just deal with the little basics, like if they bench couple Frigibacks, just deal with them, and then it's like, yeah, you can charge up that Chin-Pow, but it takes you ages, and I'll just take out your basics, and once they're all gone, just kind of deal with you. I'm sure someone will find a way to crack it, and yeah, definitely an interesting mechanic. The Solosis line we have seen before. The Runiculus, Summoning Gate. Look at the top 8 cards of your deck. Put any number of Pokemon you find there onto the bench. So a way to cheat out evolutions. It unfortunately doesn't do any damage though. So we used to have a Chandelure that was a similar thing. If you see any fire Pokemon there, you can put them onto your bench, but for each Pokemon, you'd be doing 60 damage. So this being a stage 2, just to cheat out probably other stage 2s, I'm sure there's something that'll come of it, maybe GLC to cheat out like stage 2 Psychic Pokemon, and you have ways to kind of stack the deck in that format. Be a little more interesting, but in the current format, I don't think there's enough to really make this work or justify it, but still an interesting one to kind of have in the toolbox to play with. The Flutter Mane, it's got an ability that just shuts off the active Pokemon's abilities, except for other Flutter Manes. It's interesting. I don't know how many abilities that are, when they're exclusively in the active, you want to shut down. Like you can shut down Chin-Pow, but the Baxcalibur is still online, so they just use like energy retrieval and get energy from the deck or the discard and attack that way. But it's an interesting one. I'm sure there'll be use cases for it. The attack too, 90 damage, put 2 damage counters on your opponent's bench Pokemon any way you like. It's not bad. It's an ancient Pokemon. You can get it charged up quickly. So I'm sure it'll see a bit of play. I just immediately can't think of use cases for it. The Relicanth, on the other hand, though, it's going to let your evolution Pokemon use the attacks of previous evolutions. This one I really like. It's going to give decks access to things like, for example, Gardevoir. It can be using Memory Skip and just remove attacks from your opponent. Be like, you just can't use that attack. It's gone. Like you can lock them out of things. There's going to be other use cases for it as well, but I'm definitely keen to see what decks people will start slotting this into, just to be like, oh, hey, like my Litten has a really cool attack, for example. There'll be times where this will come up. Getting a new Golurk, flip a coin. If heads during your opponent's next turn, prevent all damage done to this. I've seen basics that have that attack, so I'm Not sure why this got printed. 120 damage if your opponent's active Pokemon is a Pokemon EX or V. 120 more, so 240 for 4 colorless energy though. Yeah, I don't know. I think it's just, yeah, another filler card, unfortunately. We're getting a new Mudsdale. Attach a basic fighting energy card from your discard pile to each of your bench Pokemon. I don't mind that. The Mudbray, no, it doesn't have anything too cool. But that's kind of cool, just to accelerate energy out. It's not bad. Like maybe into like Sandy Shock's decks. I know they want a bunch of energy to get them going. You can push them all up onto an Arcanine, but if you're having to get a stage 1 online and the energy in the discard pile, I think there's just better ways to go about it, but it's an option. A new Roly-Coly, Corcoal, and Colossal. So 40 damage. This attack does 80 more damage for each fire energy attached to this Pokemon. All right, so how would you get that charged up? Like you'd have to use Charizard EX, get 3 fire energy onto here. You're doing 240, 280 with 3 fire on it, and then the fighting to pay for the attack cost. So you're hitting some all right numbers, but you're getting a stage 2 online to get a stage 2 online. It doesn't really feel justified. Maybe I'm missing something here, but yeah, interesting card. I don't think really playable. New Ekans and Arbok. Your opponent's active Pokemon is now burned, confused, and poisoned for 1 dark energy. So spreading the status conditions, if we get multiple ways to scale up damage, being a kind of cheeky way to just apply damage and potentially not even take a hit back, right? Like confused, they have to flip a coin. Maybe they whiff it, they hit themselves. You're just doing chip damage into them and potentially not letting them play the game. It's interesting. The Ghastly line, though, we have covered it. The Gengar, its ability when your opponent puts energy cards onto their Pokemon, they take 2 damage counters. I like it. And the attack, 160 damage, move an energy from the active to one of their bench. So you're doing 160, move an energy to the bench. They attach an energy to it. They're at 180. They attack you. That's all right. You've got 310. You're hopefully surviving some hits. And then you do another 160 into them. So that's 340 all up. You're taking out everything in the format. I like it. It's an interesting one to play with for sure. New Mighty Enna. Kick away 50 damage. Switch out your opponent's active Pokemon to the bench. It exists. These Sableye we have seen before, as well as these guys. A Raging Bolt, though, it's a Johto, guys. I'm sorry. We got to stop on these. I think I'm legally obligated to. You'd have to ask my lawyer, who doesn't exist, but he might consider potentially maybe telling you I have to do this. So Raging Bolt EX, first attack, it's all right. Discard your hand, draw 6. Not bad when you're starting the game. The second attack, though, 70 damage as a multiplier. You can discard any amount of basic energy attached to your Pokemon in play to do 78 damage for each of them. So it doesn't have to be attached to the Raging Bolt. It doesn't have to be a specific energy type. So you could splash this into any deck type, like Lost Box decks, use Mirage Gate, Lightning Energy, Fighting Energy. This is online. Mirage Gates to other things. You have just a basic delete cannon that can come out. You could also be using this with Sandy Shock's EX, right? So they get fighting energy from the discard when you're on 4 prizes or less, or when your opponent's on 4 prizes or less, you get multiples out. Professor Sada to get this going and get them going. There's multiple ways to get a lot of energy out. So I could see it working, and definitely keen to play around with it. New Hoothoot and Knockdown. We're seeing a lot of Johto things in this set. 70 damage, search your deck for up to 2 cards, put them into your hand. That's all right. Like for a control deck, I could potentially see this working. I feel like there's better options, but it's another one to play with. The Dunsparce and Dunsparce we have seen, so at any point you can just draw 3 cards and shuffle this back into your deck. So it could just be a floating thing, like pivot it into the active, it eats a hit, just be like, okay, cool, I need to switch something else into the active. This goes back into my deck, I get 3 cards, new thing in the active. The damage on here is gone. It's cool, I like it. Chatot, search your deck for up to 3 basic Pokemon, put them onto your bench. We have seen cards previously with attacks like this, and they did see play. Just to be able to set up benches with multiple basic Pokemons, it's effectively Battle VIP Pass, but slightly scaled up. If you're going second, effectively, though. Attach 1 energy, attack, fill your bench. It's cool. Then on the next turn, because they came out before your turn ended, right? Like they're on your bench. Your next turn starts, you can start evolving those things up. So I definitely could see this seeing play. Not huge amounts, but there will be use cases for it. Minchino does 70 damage for each special energy card attached to this Pokemon. Maybe we make a single prize special energy deck with Archeops in this? Probably not, but like if Recycle Energy got reprinted, sure. Order Box, we have seen, it's another great card for control decks. You end your turn, but you get to search your deck for 2 item cards. You're immediately going to get Ionoed, but it's basically just baiting your opponent like, hey, do you have it, or do I get to keep these things? Because either way, I'm fine with it. And control decks are going to love that because they're not really attacking ever. They're just ending their turns. It's like, I'll just guarantee myself these pieces. The Awakening Drum, you can draw a card for each ancient Pokemon you have in play. It's cool. Another ace spec we're seeing. Buddy Poffin, it's effectively just Battle VIP Pass, but not limited to your first turn, and only getting 70 HP or less, guys. So it's not going to be abused by big basic decks. It's a nice way to balance things out. Emergency Board, reducing the retreat cost of the Pokemon it's attached to by 1, or if it's got 30 or less health, it's completely free. I like it. Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. What? We've seen this before. This is out. I have this card. Or I guess it's getting a reprint. Well, this is getting a reprint. Neat. Maximum Belt. I don't think we've seen this one yet. I think it was leaked, but we haven't officially seen it. So the attacks used by this are going to do 50 more damage to your opponent's active Pokemon EX. So Giratina V-Star does 280. Give it this, it does 330. It can be one-shotting Charizard EXs now. You don't need to do the awkward dance of like soften up one, do 280, Sableye finishes it off later. Like if you ever just need, hey, I need to deal with this Charizard immediately, you can have that option now if you'd like, which is pretty cool. These ones I think we skim over. We've seen them before. Eerie, though, another really good card for control. Look at your opponent's hand, just ditch 2 items there. Morty, we haven't seen those, so this is a new one. You can only use this card if you discard another card from your hand, okay? And draw a card for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. Okay, so ditch a card for potentially straight draw 5. That's neat. It's like Zinnia, but better. Yeah, just ditch 1 instead of ditch 2. I like that. Scaled up Zinnia. Zinnia rotates and they're like, here, have a better one. And is he wearing purple? Is he wearing a purple scarf? I like that. You know what? That's a big upgrade. Zinnia got a glow up. Dude in the purple scarf. Dangerous Jungle. During your Pokemon checkup, put 2 more damage counters on each poison Pokemon. What? Were we foreshadowing to this with the Walking Wake? No. No, I might have been in a group chat and someone texted this to me. That's cute. But yeah, Dangerous Jungle, it's effectively, I think it was Burbank City we had previously, where it just scaled up damage between turns. It's back. So Sneasler, boosted by 2. This, boosted by 2. Poison's already doing 1, so 5 between turns with Poison now. That's intimidating. We have Brute Bonnet that you just have to have that ancient tool we just saw a second ago. I'll scroll up so I look like I know what I'm talking about. I know stuff and things. Ancient Booster Energy Capsule. You have that on a Brute Bonnet. You poison things. The Sneasler. That's kind of scary. Like, that's just... any deck can splash that in to do extra damage. Well, not any deck, but if you have deck space to kill and need to scale damage up, you can just do that. I like it. Neo Upper Energy we have seen before. It's the Ace Spec Special Energy, so attached onto Stage 2 Pokemon. Counts as effectively a double Rainbow Energy. All right, and this is going to be the future set. So Cyber Judge cards. Looking like a lot of filler in this one. It's good. If you're a collector, there's a lot of really cool stuff. But if you're a player, there's a lot of filler. They're still doing that, yeah. Saucebuck, ability, seasonal change. Once during your turn, you can search your deck for a stadium card, reveal it, put it into your hand. That's, you know what? I like that. I like that we're getting stage 1 Pokemon where it's just like, hey, make it have a good use. That one doesn't have a stage 2 it'll ever be evolving into, but like, he's neat still. Another stage 1 with an ability. For each prize card your opponent's taken, this gets plus 50 HP. So if they've taken 5 prizes, plus 250, you're 350 HP Tumbleweed. 80 damage, flip a coin for each energy attached to this Pokemon, 60 damage for each heads. We don't have Cherim still though, do we? I think Cherim rotated. How are we charging that up? Fortress EX? You're blowing up 2 Fortress to go down on prizes to have more HP, and then just full send? And Iono them constantly? And counter catcher them constantly? That's really dumb, but I like it. We're getting the Rabska. We have covered that one before. Been doing shorts actually to cover card reveals. So if you guys are enjoying those and you've been seeing them, let me know what you think. Keen to hear. But yeah, the Rabska, the ability Spherical Shield. So prevent all damage from and effects of attacks done to your bench Pokemon. So it's like Manaphy plus Jirachi. It's stage 1, so potentially you get killed by Greninja before it's even online, but it's an interesting one. Iron Leaves, we're going to skip those. The Johto Beast I'll cover. The Swords of Justice, I don't know. Can we even call them Swords of Justice? They left Keldeo out. They're not all there. They left a guy out. Three Musketeers. It's all for one, isn't it? They forgot the fourth one. Well, I guess it's Three Musketeers. Still, they left him out. Goombas. Incineroar EX, though. Gonna stop myself on that random tangent. Incineroar EX, it has the ability that the attacks used by this cost 1 colorless energy for each of your opponent's bench Pokemon. So effectively, you could be attacking for 1 fire energy to do 240. It's sick. It burns them. Does 260. We have ways to scale that up. We have the Rapidash we've mentioned before. I like it. And yeah, you know what? I'm keen for the big kid. Big kitten. He's gonna muck stuff up. Almost said that with a different letter in the front. Raichu, it's a new spread type attacker, so it's going to do 50 damage to each Pokemon with damage counters on it. Hits you and your opponent. Risky, but I'm for it. And Raichu's sick, so I'm happy we got a new one. The new Vikavolt also being a solid rogue type attacker. So 120 damage, 80 more damage for each of your bench Charger Bug. So if you use Rare Candy to get into this, and then just have like 3 Charger Bugs on your bench, scaling up by an extra, what's that? Come on, math skills, 240 plus 120, 360. Yeah, that's killing anything. They knock out your Vikavolt, you just immediately evolve a Charger Bug up into another one. Your damage has gone down by 80, but you're still doing 280, which is a fine number on a single prize Pokemon. Get it online with Electro Generator. Get another one going with Experience Share. It's clutch. You know what? I can definitely see this deck working. It'd be a lot better if Zoroark was still in rotation with it, but it's still sick. New Zeraora? Is this any good? 20 damage, flip a coin. If heads, your opponent's active Pokemon is now paralyzed. It's not bad. Doesn't have free retreat though, so it's not amazing. And the second attack, 120, ditch an energy from this Pokemon. Nah, second attack's no good. First attack's okay. Seen him before. Mr. Mime, what are you doing? Mime show. Opponent reveals their hand. Use the effect of a supporter card you find there as the effect of this attack. Oh, cheeky little bugger. Okay, maybe Control starts running that, or you just abuse your opponent's supporters. You're having a bit of a slow start, or you know that you need to evolve things up before you can use attacks. It's another option you can be going for. I feel like the TM evolutions and stuff like that are usually better options, but it's another tool to have in the box. Girafarig, we've seen before, he evolves into like a Terra type Rigger, Riffer, the Terra type, different giraffe. Iron Valiant, also all right. Look at the top 4 cards of your deck, put them back in any order. And the second attack, 100 damage. If you played a future supporter from your hand, 100 more damage. I don't know. I don't really see a use case for that. Iron Crown EX. Okay, I did say we were going to ignore these guys. I like Iron Crown though. So he boosts your future Pokemon's attack damage by 20 more. So I feel like future box decks will become a thing. Future box decks and ancient box decks, both of them seem like they have a lot of potential to kind of be either like the new rogue single prize decks, like how Lost Box was a thing and its own inbuilt archetype. I think that the Paradox Pokemon will be seeing similar thing like that. Iron Crown is going to be a way to scale them up though. So like you could have multiples of these, scale up the damage output of Iron Hands. It's a little concerning. We have the tool card that gives them free retreat and 20 more damage. 4 of these in play, extra 80 damage, 100 all up. He's doing already, what, 120 for Amp you very much? 220, you can be knocking out basic EX Pokemon, taking 3 prizes. It's a lot of setup, but it's not impossible. And we have that item card that lets you ditch a card, get 2 future Pokemon. So getting them all on your bench isn't, like, honestly, it's not that ridiculous. It's kind of scary. Medicham? Do you have Yoga Loop? No? Bye. Drillbur, ability Dig About. When you play this Pokemon from your hand onto your bench during your turn, you can search your deck for up to 3 basic fighting energy and discard them. So that's how we're meant to get Koraidon online finally. Was wondering if that would ever happen. It also gets, what's his name? Not Baltoy. What's he evolve into? The one that he evolves into. There's a dude that he evolves into, and if you have no supporters in your discard pile, you can get a fighting energy from your discard pile attached to your Pokemon. So it's a way to get that going. Maybe that finally sees play. We see like a fighting box deck come out. Iron Boulder EX? No. For that one? No, I'm not even going to try and pronounce his name. We're just scrolling past him. Fortress, you're new. 30 damage multiplier. Flip 3 coins, 30 damage for each heads on 1 steel energy. All right. They printed that. Scizor EX, we did cover it in a short earlier this week. But yeah, he's neat. So Steel Wing, 70 damage during your opponent's next turn, takes 50 less damage from attacks, and the second attack is a 120 multiplier. Discard up to 2 steel energy from this Pokemon and 120 for each that you did. So 240, 70 from the first one, gets up to, come on, math skills, 310. Vitality Band on there. If you're comboing that on both, you're getting up to 330 across the two. You can be taking out stage 2 EXs, which is neat. Steel Wing reducing the damage that you're taking as well. You can be enduring some hits. So I could see this seeing play. I don't see it being top tier, but definitely like B to C tier potential. And Scizor's Scyther box decks, right? Like we've got the Cleavor, we've got the other Scizor. There's definitely potential there. So I could see this being a B tier deck for sure. I don't know about like top tier, but it would be able to hold up with meta decks. Mawa, what do? Switch one of your opponent's bench Pokemon to the active spot and do 30 damage to the new guy. All right. There's Frigibax that has 60 HP, but I think there's one that has 70 HP. Like you're hitting weakness into them. 2 colorless energy to get it going though, so you're probably not playing that card ever, but it exists. The Beldum line, this one I like. Matang, it's just like it's a better Magnezone, right? Magnezone, it was a stage 2 Pokemon. Look at the top, I think 6 or 7 cards of your deck. Any steel energy you find there, put them on your Pokemon. Matang just does that as a stage 1. Limits it down to 4, but you can get it online faster. You're not having to worry about rare candies. The energy's splashable, so you can be playing like colorless attack costs. So things like Iron Hands, get them online with this. It's neat. Goes into Metagross, scaling damage with Meteor Mash, 60 damage, next turn 60 more damage, so it's not bad, but the Matang's mainly just in there as an energy acceleration option, and maybe we get a Magnezone EX in the future. Seen all these before. What were you doing here, Lickitung? Generally, what's he doing? He looks so lost. Like he bit his tongue, but it's giant. He's like, either having the best time or the worst time. I genuinely can't tell. But Tongue Reel, your opponent reveals their hand. Put 2 basic Pokemon you find there onto their bench. Okay, so if they're holding on to Squawkabillies or Luminions, like they can't play Squawkabilly, it's mid-game. You're just like, no, it's on the bench now. I like that. I also just like Lickitung. He's so derpy. Also, I don't know, do you guys know his German name? If you know Lickitung's name in German, let me know in the comments down below. It's pretty good. Licky. Are you going to do anything funny or controlling? Body Slam, 50 damage, flip a coin. No, okay, no. 70 damage, flip 4 coins, 70 damage for each heads. Okay, so if you hit the Hail Mary play, after having 4 energy attached to this, you could do 280 and take out a V-Star Pokemon, as we're going into a format with things with 330 HP. Just make it 80, guys. Just make it do 80 damage for each heads. You're not getting all that energy on it. Like, no, you're never doing that. And if you're hitting 4 heads, yeah, 360 to knock anything out, go for it. 3 heads on 80 is 240. Yeah, just make it 80. Come on, guys. Come on, errata that. I'll wait. Skitty, search your deck for a basic Pokemon, put it onto your bench. I feel like Call for Family. Just make them also like a blanket, get 2 things. Getting 1, it's, I don't know. Feels a bit mid. Like we've got Pidgey that gets 2. Just have that as the standard. Delcatty, 110, move any amount of energy from your Pokemon to your other Pokemon any way you like. There'd be use cases, but I don't really see it playable. Pidove, also, I saw a sneak peek of this one earlier. So the ability, Emergency Evolution. Once during your turn, if this Pokemon's remaining HP is 30 or less, you can search your deck for an Oozifant or Oozifant EX. which means we're probably getting one of those, like they're future-proofing it, and put it onto this Pokemon to evolve it. So Uzafint, if you're unfamiliar with it, is the stage 2 of this. So it goes Pidove, Tranquil, which, well, you can see it on the bottom of the screen right now. You're getting a little bit of a heads up. And then Uzafint. So it's effectively just rare candy if this gets hurt. We have Gapejaw Bog. So if Gapejaw Bog is in play, you go Pidove to the bench. Instantly it takes 20 damage and you can evolve it right up to a stage 2. It doesn't say you're limited to doing just one of this ability per turn. So if you wanted to put 4 Pidoves in play under Gapejaw Bog, you could have 4 Uzafint or Uzafint EX in play, like instantaneously. No rare candy required. That's nuts. The Uzafint we have seen revealed so far has reverse wind, 70 damage for 2 colorless energy. So you can use a double turbo energy to get this going. Only doing 50 then, but you're going to put 2 energy attached to your opponent's Pokemon into their hand. So decks that are kind of struggling to get energy out or very dependent on abilities to do it, like Charizard EX, they evolve, they get 3 energy into play. You just got cool, put 2 of those back in. And they're just kind of like, I'm sorry, what? And you're just like, yeah, you can evolve another one up or manually charge that thing up, right? I like that. And like 50 damage, it's not much, but you do that, you bounce the energy into their hand, you do that again. Eventually, you just use Devo TM. You devolve them to the Charmanders that have like 70 HP, or you hit them twice, you've done 100 damage. Even if you devolve them to a Charmeleon that has 100 HP, it's getting knocked out. It's kind of scary that this seems like an actual deck, and I'm keen for it. Like some DTEs and Gapejaw Bogs, and you're cooking. I love it. Drombus here? What is he getting a new card for? Raging Charge. If all of your bench Pokemon have at least 1 damage counter on them, 120 more damage for 3 colorless energy. Okay, so 220 for 3 colorless. Muck up your bench. We just talked about Gapejaw Bog. I think this is hanging out with Uzafint. I think that's a deck. I'm keen for it. Yeah. Hand Clippers, we've covered before. Evil card. Both players ditch their hands till they have 5. It's an item card, so you can just abuse that. Prime Catcher, aka the A spec, everyone's going to be chasing. And it's going to be so expensive on release. It's basically the Radiant Greninja of A specs. I'm thinking it's going to be like a $30, $40 card at release. It'll come down eventually because you only need 1 for your decks. But yeah, if you have a regional like the week that this set becomes legal for us, oh, good luck. Reboot Pod. Get a basic energy from your discard pile, attach it to all your future Pokemon in play. It's pretty cool. Hero Cape, give 100 health to any of your Pokemon, not limited to basic Pokemon, not limited to non-rule box Pokemon. Just you want 100 health more, have it. Lost Vacuum exists. Be mindful of that, but still pretty neat. You're going to run different A specs, but it exists. Future Boost Energy Capsule. We also have that card. Okay, cool. Reprint. I like it though. Heavy Baton. Haven't seen this. If this Pokemon's retreat cost is exactly 4. Iron Hands. Yeah. Uparaja. River Room? Torterra. Torterra. Yeah, Torterra. Okay, we've got some cool ones there. Yeah, the big boys. And is knocked out by damage from an opponent's attack. Move up to 3 basic energy cards from that Pokemon to your bench Pokemon in any way you like. So it's like an experience share, except you have it on the thing you think is going to get knocked out. Can get lost vacuumed away. So there's a risk associated with it, whereas experience share, like you could have multiples of them spread out across your bench. Something gets knocked out, you're keeping some energy. This is like, hey, don't hit me with a vacuum, and I'll just fully charge up something else. It can be played around, but if you have multiples of it, can they play around all of them? Probably not. You can be chaining Iron Hands that way and have the Iron Crown scaling up damage instead of the item to tool to scale up damage and just charge. That's scary. That's scary. My brain can't keep up with my mouse right now, but that's a scary card. I like that. Cryptomatic's Deciphering, we've seen that before. It is okay. Salvatore, you're new. He looks like he's having a great day. Search your deck for a Pokemon, accept any Pokemon with abilities that evolves from one of your Pokemon in play. Put it on that Pokemon to evolve it. You can use this card on Pokemon that were just put into play when setting up to play or on the turn it was put into play. Neat. That's actually kind of scary. All right. So effectively, that means we have ways to get Giratina V-Star immediately out, right? It doesn't have an ability. It has a V-Star attack. So that's cool. It could be replacing Thornton Index that we're running that. Also, that Torterra EX we saw, it doesn't have an ability. So you could go into the Grottle that searches out other grass Pokemon, use it, just chain other things out, and then use this and immediately evolve up into the Torterra. There's definitely going to be use cases. Oh, hang on. That Claydol we had earlier. Sorry, guys, we're jumping. Was it Claydol? No, Claydol is the fighting guy that can get them back. What was his name? Bronzong. This one. 30 damage. Your opponent can't put any Pokemon from their hand to evolve their Pokemon during their turn. You can Salvatore into this. You could go second. You can Salvatore into this, attach a Psychic Energy, and just lock them out of evolving. You're not doing a lot of damage, so like I don't think it's going to be amazing, but that's neat. I like that. I really like that, actually. Bianca's Sincerity. Heal all damage from one of your Pokemon with 30 or less health remaining. Interesting use case thing. Like if there's decks that you know just are short of knocking you out, it's helpful. Bull Metal Lab, you're new. Steal Pokemon, both yours and your opponent's. Okay, yeah, sharing, that's good. Take 30 less damage from attacks. Very good. Okay, Kuparaja, Reveroom. Yep, can play them with Matang. I've got that baton thing to keep the energy in play. Yes, Keen. This is a good card. Maybe not amazing, but oh, I'm playing it. You know damn well I'm playing it. Mist Energy, we've seen it before. It just makes it so Roaring Moon isn't declaring death, and Giratina isn't either. Temple of Sinnoh exists. Be mindful of that. But yeah, that's it for the set list. I was going to make this a weekly news roundup. I don't know if we can now. We've just covered a whole set. But yeah, and we're going to see the secret rare cards. Can quickly skim through the rest of the news for this week, though. We can do it. 20 new cards from the starter deck. These are all just going to be filler. We're quickly skimming this. There's no way these aren't just filler. We've seen heaps of them, right? Ah, they're filler. That's cool, though. You get a Luminion in it. And a Greninja. And a Pidgeot. And a Bibarel. Holy. If you're living in Japan and trying to get into the Pokemon TCG, buy this deck. Immediately. That's clutch. What's the Miraidon one get? Luminion Greninja also. Pidgeot also. Bibarel also. Yeah, just go get these. If you're in Japan, just I don't know what you're doing right now. Stop it. Go. Just go. I'll wait. Also, boop that subscribe button if you haven't already. But like, go pick this up too. And what else are we getting? Flamigo EX, Time, Quagsire, and new gym promos revealed for January. We'll eventually get these. These are usually okay cards. Wooper, draw water, shuffle 3 basic water energy from your discard pile into your deck. We have Superior or Super Rod for that already. Quagsire. Look at the top 3 cards of your... Oh, no, not look at the top. Discard the top 3 cards of your deck. It does 80 damage for each energy you ditch in that way. You need a water double colorless to get this online, and then it's still a Hail Mary to maybe do 240. That's a bad card. Flamigo EX. Exact Beak. 30 damage for double colorless. If you have the same amount of energy as your opponent's active, 100 more. So DTE to do 110. All right. Time. Put a Pokemon from your hand face down in front of you and tell your opponent its health. They guess the name of that Pokemon, and then you reveal it. If your opponent gets it right, they get 4 cards. If they get it wrong, you get 4 cards. Okay, so it's like Blaine. Why didn't we just get it as another Blaine's quiz show? Who's Time? Should you do a quiz show? Blaine did. More secret rares from Wild Force and Cyber Judge. Yeah, we just kind of just covered that. If you want to check out these, I recommend just hopping on Poke Beach and taking a look at them for yourself. They do look pretty cool, though. I like this. Like the little deer, the Saucebuck, and the... I know its name isn't Deer. I feel like it's basically Deer, though. It's not Weird Ear. Weird Ear is the... What's his name? I don't know its name. Someone tell me in the comments. You guys are smart. You know the Pokemans. Iono is getting a milk crate. So we've previously got these with Cyrus and Clara. Now we're getting one from Iono, giving her a 4th full art card. So that'll be the new one. We've already got 2 released, and there's one that'll be in Paldean Fates. So if you want to have a playset that doesn't match of full art expensive cards, you can do that now. That's cool. This being one that you can just go buy off the shelf, though, I do like that. You get the code cards, you get it in PTCGL, you get sleeves, a cool coin, deck box. I respect it. You know what? If you're looking to kind of like budget bling, this is a way to do it. Buying a full art Iono sets you back like what, 200-ish bucks. So if you want one, just buy this. They'll be what, 40 bucks? Yeah, $40. Probably like 100 if you're in Australia, because we just don't get things priced nicely, but it's cool. It's definitely cool. Bit of a scandal though. So the Van Gogh Pikachu promos are already being scalped before they're even out in the Netherlands. Nuts. They reprinted this card because it got scalped and people were hiking the prices. It's meant to be a promo that you just get for ordering cards from the Pokemon Center. Like, it's not meant to be like a exclusive thing. You should just get it. Like going to GameStop and it's like, oh, you spent 20 bucks. Here's something with a stamp. But they made it fancy looking. So people were like, yeah, I'm going to supply and demand that. Neat. People are great. Thanks, people. But yeah, they've uncovered extensive evidence that local gaming stores are pre-selling the promos under the table. It's a bit silly. So someone's saying they've already got 100 copies. Why? Like, what? Why? So silly, guys. So silly. Just be nice to each other. It's a card game. Like, if you really want one, I'm sorry. I hope you find one and you get it at RRP. Like, you just get it with a product and you aren't paying these ridiculously hiked prices. They can print more. It's kind of the magical thing about cardboard. They have that ability. So don't rush out and like blow your savings on this, guys. Expanded though. So a format that doesn't see a lot of love. PTCGL still hasn't even got it fully functioning. I don't think you can do friendly matches of it. But they've updated the rules for it and gone ahead and banned Scoop Up Net. So that happened in Japan already, I believe, because people are abusing it. You were able to scoop up net. Shaman EX is the prime example. You just put multiples of them in play, draw a bunch of cards, scoop up net them, do it again. So they're like, yeah, that needs to go. It's finally rolled out for us as well. I don't know if this will affect Gym Leader Challenge. That'll be something you'd probably have to watch out for on Tricky Gym. We'll see if they follow suit. I feel like probably not. It's a once-off card. It's not going to be abused in that format. It's what, like you evolve up an Inteleon, you scoop up net it. Cool. You have it as a free way of healing things and pivoting things. Hope it doesn't. I like that format. I want to start playing it more. And yeah, if you guys want to see content for that, let me know. Maybe we do that. Do some viewer battles, webcam matches or something. But yeah, that's it for the weekly news roundup. Sorry it went a little bit long. Wasn't expecting so many reveals this week. Getting the full set list for Japan was pretty sick, and that's going to make up most of our April set. So very keen for it. If you enjoy this kind of content, make sure to let me know in the comments down below and subscribe to keep up with the shenanigans. Been doing coverage for these card reveals as shorts as well, and starting on TikTok. So if you're over on there, make sure you look up Triple B and keep in touch. And also back into regularly streaming on Twitch. So if you want to catch me live, I do stream Wednesday night, Friday night, and Saturday afternoon. Based in Australia though, so the time zones might be a little funny. But if you're on that side of the planet too, neat. If you're on the other side of the planet, just take those times and move them drastically forward. But my Saturday one, it'll be like your Friday night. So you have a silly soda and come hang out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying. Yeah. Dr. Pepper Cherry. They're very silly soda. But yeah, till next time, guys. Stay golden.